Hey everybody, Teresa here from Inspiration Cards, and I'm back with our final card for this month's Stamp Jammies online card class featuring the Quiet Meadow stamp set. I hope you've been enjoying the cards so far, and I hope you'll join me next month in April when I'm going to be featuring the Dahlia Days stamp set. All right, let's get to some stamping, so let's flip this around. So here's our last card featuring the Quiet Meadow stamp set. So as you can see, I'm pulling in a little bit of that collage stamping that I showed you guys last week with a little bit something different to give it a bit of a different effect. So what you're going to need from your class supplies is the large piece of mint macaron cardstock. So it's just a half a piece of 8.5 by 11. You'll have one large piece of basic white, and then you'll have 3 strips of basic white. One will be a little bit larger than the other just to make sure we get coverage. All right, so to get us started, as always, I like to get that card base folded first. I'm going to use my bone folder to get that nice, crisp, clean fold. There we go. So I can set that off to the side and pull in my large piece of basic white. Now this is going to go on the inside of the card, and as always I like to stamp a little something on the inside. This time you can see I used petal pink and stamped the large flower image on the inside. You can always switch it up and use any of the images that you like. I'm going to stick with that large floral image. And I'm going to stick with petal pink just so it has a bit of contrast to the mint macaron card base. I'm just going to gently tap that onto my ink pad. There we go. And then I'm just going to stick that in the bottom right hand corner. There we go. All right, now I'm going to keep this at the ready because when I'm doing any kind of stamping, I usually like to start with my large images first, but especially when I'm doing collage stamping or making a background or something, I always like to start with the larger images because it's easier to fill in the gaps with these smaller ones. All right. There we go. And the nice thing with this is that you don't have to have it perfectly in line. Just gonna rotate those a little bit so it looks a little bit different each time. All right, so that's it for our petal pink. So again, starting with our next largest image, I'm going to use the paint splatter image to fill in some of those spaces. I just love the different kinds of images in this stamp set. It really can be used for a lot of different things. All right, so I'm going to use crumb cake for this. And so just going to, here we go, rotate and just kind of work at filling in the gaps. Obviously, I don't want to fill it in completely because I do want to add in some mint macaron in a minute here. There we go. All right. All right, with that mint macaron card base, you have to have some mint macaron ink. So there we go. And this one, I'm going to actually use one of the smaller flowers. I'm actually going to use the larger of the two. So I'm just going to stick that right on there. Now, do be careful with this one. I do find every once in a while I get a little bit of a ring, a halo around my images. So just be very gentle when you're tapping that on your ink pad. I find if I forget and I'm a little heavy, that's when I tend to end up with that extra little bit of ink. I'm going to do one more. There we go. All right, now I'm going to set that aside to dry for just a minute, and I'm going to pull in one of my other strips of basic white. And on this one here, I'm just going to add our phrase. So this time around, I used "You're too kind," You can add in thinking of you or love, whatever you want to add in. I'm actually going to add in thinking of you this time. Here we go. And I'm just going to put this in the bottom right hand corner. Just going to try and line that up. There we go. All right, so let's close that up. And I'm going to set that aside to dry for just a minute. And while that dries, I'm going to stick our other pieces together. So I'm just going to grab our tape runner here and the large piece of basic white. Here we go. And like I said, this is going to go on the inside of your card base. Here we go. And then the large strip that you stamped on, this is actually going to go in the center, flat against your card base. The other two strips, we're actually going to pop up with dimensionals after we do a little bit of tearing with them. So I'm going to try and get this as centered as I can. And I want to just keep in mind the border that I want. Along the edges. So there we go. All right. So for our other two strips, so I'm just going to start, just give it a little tear. And I'm just going to pull. You don't want to pull it too straight. You do want a little bit of variation. Sometimes you need to help it along a little bit. There we go. And just to see, I can actually pull a little bit more off of that. Here we go. I'm just going to pull just a little more off the edge. There we go. So you still get the full effect of your images. There we go. And so you're just going to do the same thing on your other one. You'll see no two pieces look alike, which is actually really cool. All right, and so just to get that full effect, just going to line that up. There we go. Perfect. All right, now before I stick these on, I'm going to add a few little rhinestones right here along the bottom. I'm just going to grab the spatula end of my Take Your Pick tool, just scoop these guys up, and slide them into place. There we go. All right, and to finish it off, I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back here. I'm just going to stagger them a little bit, so that way I don't have to worry about any pieces kind of dipping down or getting squished if I do happen to send this in the mail. And one more. There we go. All right. And all you gotta do is just peel the backs off. All right, and this one, of course, your plain white is gonna go right along the top. Again, just keeping in mind that 1/4 inch border that you want around the top and along the sides. And again, same thing on the bottom. Just pull that paper off, And then just line it up so you've got that nice 1/4 inch border around the edges. There we go. And as always, I do have one more sample to show you guys using the Quiet Meadow stamp set. This is one I actually made when the stamp set and annual catalog first came out. This is actually the card I made for my team's card swap, which are so much fun to participate in. You get tons of ideas and you get to see lots of other stamp set that maybe, you know, you aren't able to pick up right away. So this one, as you can see, I'm using just about all the images. So I've got that paint splatter image. I'm using the typed font. Got that thinking of you, and of course there's our bouquet of flowers. And I used one of the coordinating dies to cut the phrase out, and then just did a little sponging along the edges with crumb cake to give it a little bit more of a kind of an antique look. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this month's Stampin' Jammies online card class with the Quiet Meadow stamp set. Like I said, I'll be back in April featuring the Dahlia Days stamp set. I'm excited to share this one with you. I've been having so much fun crafting with it. Now in May, I'm going to be sharing the A Good Man stamp set, right? Perfectly timed for Father's Day and all those masculine cards that we always have a need for. Now, if you want to get the full class kit, which is $75, that includes the class supplies, the featured months stamp set, 1 ink pad, and some coordinating designer series paper, along with shipping to anywhere in Canada. Or if you just want the class supplies and are just going to pull from your craft stash at home, that's just $25. And either way, just send me an email at inspirationwiththeresa@gmail.com and I'd be happy to hook you up with one of those options. All right, if you want to check out some of my other projects, then you'll definitely want to find Inspiration on Instagram and Facebook. That's where I share a lot of my projects, or you can check out my blog at inspirationcards.com. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon.